guys, Token Vaping. Um, Today's review is going to be a little different. The bulk of my reviews are usually all on juice companies and flavor lines, things like that. I have been trying to branch out a bit more, and I've been getting I got a little behind on them, but for that I do apologize. It was not intentional. However, today's review is not on a juice line. It is on a device. I have seen these pop up recently, and they are different, which is what caught my eye. And then I looked a little more into it, and um, they struck my curiosity. So I was curious. I mean, eventually, if there's always a new device on the market, eventually there's going to be enough people with them. You're going to get to see one. You're going to get to try one. You're going to get to hear about one. Obviously there are enough reviewers out there that people do uh, get their hands on them to be able to try them out and everything else. So to be able to be considered to do a review on an actual device, whether it's a mod, a Mac mod, an RDA, RTA, tank, it's a big privilege. So I am extremely honored to be able to do this. The device if I can get it to work right. You may have seen it. This is the Disguiser 150 watt by a company called Movkin. Now, you may have heard of them. I know a lot of you have started to see this device. There are a few really good reviews out at the moment. This company is based in China. They started in 2012 as a technology device company. They started the Movkin department branch in 2015. This is as far as I'm aware, this is the second device that they've made. Their first one was called the Luggy, and I know there are a few people that have had them, used them, tried them. They look like miniature luggage bags, basically, hence the name Luggy. And I never really heard a whole lot of negative things about them. I never got the chance to try one myself, but that was their first mod device. This is their main second one. Now, you may be looking at this, and there's a few things you're going to notice, obviously, by the design. Guess what that really kind of looks like? Yes. I mean, it looks like a rouleau. It is bigger. I don't really want to copyright infringe or impose on anybody, but here is the rouleau, and here is the Movkin. So as you can see, there is quite a bit of a size difference. Now, weight-wise, I'll be honest with you, this is a dual battery. Goes in here in the bottom. It's a switch. It's a single battery, or I'm sorry, it is a single section that holds two 18650 batteries. It only goes up to 150 watts, so it really doesn't need the third battery. But with the batteries in it, weight-wise, it really doesn't feel that much heavier. Now, it is a bit bigger, so if you do have smaller hands, it's going to seem bulky. It is 61 millimeters by 45 millimeters by 87 millimeters size-wise. So if you measure them out, it is quite a bit bigger. It's probably one of the more bigger devices on the market at the moment. Depending on what you consider big, obviously, it's meant to be fit in the hand, kind of like this. So if you're looking at size-wise, it's generally size and comfortability is going to really come down to your vaping preference. Mine is different than anybody else's. Whereas I'm just basically giving you my impression of this, that in no way, shape, or form is me trying to tell you that's how you should feel about it. So definitely do not take this as that I'm trying to make this law. I'm just basically giving you my opinion, my impression, my viewpoint on this. So, but it definitely is bigger. It definitely is bulkier. So again, if you have small hands, for me, it actually is kind of comfortable. Just like the other devices in this shape. It is form-fitting. It does give a good solid grip. So for me, it's not that big of a problem. Um, it has a 0.991 inch OLED screen, which you see right here. It is bright, it is solid. Now, I don't believe it's backlit, but it is subtle enough that, you know, when you look at it, it is not super bright in your face, but it is bright enough that you can clearly see, you know, the different numbers that you need to see on it. It does have the output wattage of between 5 watts to 150 watts. It puts out the output volts is a 6.6 volt to an 8.4 volts. Compatible ohms, if you are doing the variable wattage, it is going to be a 0.1 to a 0.3. So if you're doing your coil builds and everything else like that, that's going to be your range to work with. In variable temp modes, you're going to be a 0.5 to about a 2.0 for your ohms. It has a 10-second shutoff, which is really cool. I'm becoming a really huge fan of devices that are having safety aspects to them. So if you press and hold this button, it's going to go all the way up to 10 seconds, and then it will just stop and shut itself off so it does not overheat. I also learned that if you leave it sit from when it is a 5-click on, 5-click off. If you turn it on and you don't use it right away for a set amount of time, I apologize, I didn't actually time it, but if you sit it down and don't use it for a little bit, it does shut itself off so that it's not wasting power. That's actually really cool, except when you go to pick it up and you go to take a vape and nothing comes out. It also has a low voltage protection, it has an overcurrent protection, and it has a temperature sensor protection. All of this is designed to prevent any general type of mishaps or accidents that could happen from the device being mishandled or getting too hot, pushing too much power, things like that. It's all for the safety of the vapor involved. So they've definitely done their homework to make sure that, you know, as much as they can cover to protect you as the vapor, they definitely are trying to do that. So that's actually really impressive. Now, it does have, as I said, it does do five modes. It does normal cantho for the variable wattage. It does nickel, titanium, stainless, and ceramic. So it basically is really versatile on top of what else I'm about to show you that it can and can't do. It is, like I said, it's 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. Now, if you look here and you see where it says I'm vaping 70 watts, if you click this 3 times, it switches to temp mode. The first one being nickel. Click it again. It's going to switch to titanium, stainless, ceramic, back to wattage. So they tried to keep it as simple as possible. It's not a up, down, press this button, press that button, click and hold this, and everything else. Beyond that, as far as button presses, it does the typical, you press and hold the up and down button at the same time, or the positive negative button. It will lock so that, you know, it doesn't keep changing the settings for your wattage and everything else, and it will still fire. Press and hold them again, it'll unlock it so that you can adjust it. If you press the fire button and the up button and hold it for 2 seconds, it'll switch the swap of the screen. So for here, I have this set up because I use it in my left hand, so when I turn it this way, I can read the screen. But if I was using it in my right hand, press and hold the fire button and the up button, and then you see that it's switched. So now it's upside down. So now if I'm using it with my right hand, I can read the screen this way. But I usually hold my device in my left hand, so press and hold the up and down and the power button. 2 seconds, and it'll flip over, and it goes back to the right way. The other option also is if you press and hold the power button and the down button, it goes into a stealth mode. Now, I don't really fully understand the point of stealth mode, I'll be honest with you. I prefer being able to see my readout. I need to see everything that's on there, so, you know, safety-wise, I make sure I know when I'm running. If you can't really see it most of the time, you know, it doesn't really benefit you. So I don't know if it's just because some people don't like the brightness of the screen and they can't change or dim it, anything like that, so they want to turn it off or something like that. I'm not fully sure, but it does do the stealth mode as well. As I said, Movkin is based in China. They are in a 3,000 square meter facility, which basically comes out to about 32,291 square feet, with over 200 employees. And as I said, Luggy was their first device, so they do have a good handle on what they're doing. But it basically is still in the newer stage, so they're learning, they're developing, they're trying to be different without going overly extreme and losing sight of the purpose of what they're in the business for, and that's to make quality vaping products, you know, that are safe with the vapor in mind. So, showed you the screen, showed you the button functions. Now, as far as what comes with this, it basically is the device itself. It's going to come with a set drip tip, and the only reason why I'm doing it this way is because it has a really cool feature that I want to show you, which when I discovered it was actually pretty slick. The reason why this is called the disguiser is because, as you see here, you take the tank off. Look at that. It actually holds the tank inside the device. Put the door on it, and it's covered. It's disguised, basically, but it has nice vent holes in here so you can see the air vents on your tank, and it shows. Now, this is my smoke tank. It's a 25 millimeter tank. This device will hold up to a 25 millimeter tank. Anything beyond that, it's gonna stick out over this, and this not only will this not fit on here, but it's also going to get stuck on the back side of this, and it's not going to tighten down on the connection. So, but you know, up to this tank, that's a lot of room to work with. So it basically will come with the device itself, not the tank. The door, it's going to come with the 510 extension tube, and I'll show you what this is for here in a second. And then it comes with what they call an extension delrin tip. And the reason why, or elastic delrin tip, I apologize. The reason why, and this is actually a really cool feature. Not everybody uses a tank this big. You're going to go ahead and put a smaller tank in. You see this gap in here. Well, if you just try to put it in a normal tip, you know, it's not going to stick out very far. So for some people, when they vape like this, it's really close to their face and it just kind of bugs them. This is the cool feature. Their delrin tip, their elastic, if you twist it, it extends. That's actually a pretty cool feature, honestly. It's just a little bit extra. Now, some people may say it looks kind of tacky, but when you have it in the device, it's really not superly noticeable like that. When you have the door on it, it's like this, but you have the extension so that you can vape on it. And it works just as fine as it does all the way screwed down. Now, the other thing about the delrin tip, if you don't want to use it as an extension and you want to keep it short, the spout on this, when it's closed, will basically take any standard 510 tip. Now, this is just another form of the versatility to this. So you just slap that on and it vapes normal. And that's, like I said, with any standard delrin tip. So you take this one, and I can even use my actual tip for the tank that's in here. That fits on top as well too, and it works fine, you know. And it works great too. So the versatility of this device is actually one of its strongest suits. The fact that, you know, they make it adaptable to 510 tips so that you can swap out. If you're using a tank and you prefer the actual tip for that tank, you can use it. If you have a specific tip like I do here, you know, as long as it's a 510 connection, it will fit. Now, it won't, I will tell you this now, if you fully extend this tip, most of the tips will not fit, they won't hold, because it's that inner tube that's holding them. So if you try it like that, it will not work, as you just saw. the tip has to be, the delrin tip for the device has to be screwed all the way down, but then it will basically, it will hold the tip and it won't fall. So that is one precaution you will need to have. Now, with that on the tank, this is, for me, this is honestly where you're going to have the bulk of the cons to this device. Obviously, it's not everlasting. So if when your tank is empty, there really is no easy way to fill this while it's in the device. Yes, you can try to work. I mean, you slide this open. You can try to work a unicorn bottle or something in there to fill that. It's not. I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to be the most convenient. Because some tanks, honestly, you are not going to be able to just twist the top off while it's in the device like that. So you're basically going to have to take it out, to fill that. So the inconvenience of that is basically going to be, a really big con, is the fact that even though you have a tank in here, you're not going to be able to fill it easily while it's in here. And the fact that, it seems to it feels like it takes a bit longer to unscrew the tank out of the device than it would just popping it on top of a normal device. It is a little bit of a hassle, and I can definitely see that being a problem for some people. Another problem is, even though there are very generous air vents here, for tanks like this size, having it basically pressed up against this, even though you're exposing your vent holes, there's only two there. The back isn't going to have as much room as this. So it's going to actually heat your tank up a lot quicker, that I've noticed, than it would if you just vaped it on top. Now, therein lies the other extension part, the 510 extension tube. This extension tube, basically, you pop this in the top, it comes down into the base, you tighten that down, and basically what it turns it into is a normal mod. You put that back on, and basically now you have the 510 tip on top, so now you can basically turn this into a top device like that. So if you prefer it that way, with the extension tube in place inside the device, you can basically use it like you would any standard mod. Or you can turn around and with that turn on just an RDA, put a couple of drops of juice in here for your dripper, and just from there, just and as you can see here, this is actually a really cool safety feature that a lot of them are starting to do. You swap out devices from there, and it's going to ask you if it's a new coil, and you push up for yes or down for the same, so that it knows to read it as something different and it's not the same device that's on there. So that's also another safety feature. And then it vapes just like that. So you can use it, as a top attached device. You can use it as the disguiser aspect. The disguiser will definitely be nicer if you prefer using tanks and you don't want to have the tank sitting on top, so if you knock it over, that there's a chance that the glass is going to break. You have it on the inside, it is hidden, and you have the door hiding it. Now, another con for me that I noticed is that this door is held on by magnets, but there is a lot of give to it. It does have a rattle, not the annoying point where it's like you feel like it's doing this, but there is a bit of a rattle if you listen. So there is a bit of looseness to that. In the box, you basically get the device, you get the extension tube, the outer door, and you get the elastic drip tip. And that's pretty much it, which nowadays is kind of odd, to be honest, because a lot of devices are pretty much, at least giving you, a little pouch that has spare screws, spare seals, things like that. Now, because this doesn't have any of that as far as needed to use for, specific points, I can see why they didn't add it. But if you are somebody who, when you buy a device, you're expecting like extra parts or accessories, there aren't any. Not really a big deal, because there isn't really a whole lot to this that you need to have spare parts for. If the inside has a problem with it or goes down, contact Movkin at movkin.com. You can also check them out on Instagram and on Facebook as well. So, I mean, there are ways to contact them. So it's not something that you really need to focus on as far as to say, well, I didn't get a pouch of accessories. What if one of my seals breaks? Obviously on the little drip tips and stuff, you're gonna have the little elastic bands, but I mean, most vapors have at least one or two tanks, RDAs, things like that, that have spare seals on them. That it's a standard 510, so I mean they will work. Beyond that, it's another vaping device that has a little bit of a unique twist to it, to make it something different. They have their vent holes here as well. They also have, like I said, the most generous air vent holes here. Screws on the bottom, their logo on top, face here, fire button, up, down, OLED screen. Overall, it's a solid device. If you're looking for something, that has the versatility to be able to, do the tank and the RDA, but, a little differently, then by all means, definitely check this out. It is a 150 watt device. It does handle temp control. Most people that I know that vape regularly, they don't go for the super high 120, 150, 200 watt everyday vape. Now, that's not to say they don't vape that high. Most people I know usually vape anywhere between the 70 to, I would say, 110 watt range on a regular basis. So, if you don't need something that's going to shoot up to 200 or something like that, this is a solid device. Again, cons, it is bigger than like the rouleau that's out there. It is bigger, so smaller hands, it's definitely going to create a problem. Not being able to fill the tank while it's inside the device easily can create a problem. The door rattle for people that have that issue where they need everything to fit tight and not have the wiggle or the jiggle room could be a problem. Pros, it's versatile. You definitely can use it in a couple of different ways. I like the fact that you can use everything on top and then use the tank on the inside, so that it's more of a safety aspect of it, to where you have the tank inside, you have extra protection against the tank in case you knock the device over. I really think the elastic tip, even as simple as it is, so just doing a corkscrew, but having the extension there so that it can accommodate the distance, so that you don't feel like you have the entire device up in your face. The fact that you can use it and adapt other drip tips to that and put that in to extend them is still pretty cool too, because you can still kind of customize it. Having the 510 extension tube so that you can use this dual ways is very nice as well. Overall, it's another vaping device. There are plenty on the market at the moment. They all have little things here and there that are different about them. This one here, it's a solid device. It works well. It does what it's supposed to do. It does what it's advertised to do. It's not super expensive. I think an authorized retailer for Movkin on their website is actually AliExpress.com. On there, they have a couple of different prices depending on your MOQ and how many pieces you're wanting. They work out deals per piece by bulk. By itself, you're looking at spending right around $62. Not a bad price for something like this. It really is not. So if you're looking for something different and you're wanting something that has a little bit of a uniqueness to it, something that has a twist, definitely look into picking it up. Like I said, you can run it a few different ways through operation for vaping. If you look at it like, well, it just reminds me of this one, or it looks like that one, and I'm okay with the one that I got, then stick with what you got. Just because companies come out with new items doesn't mean you always have to run out and get that item. It's just another option that they're offering you. Movkin, guys, you have no idea how honored and privileged you have made me by allowing me to do the review on this device. It is an awesome device overall. Thank you for the opportunity to check this out and do this video. Guys, as always, I'm here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Hit me up, email me, comment, subscribe, anything that you want to know. Anything. Does not matter what it is. If I can help make your vaping experience more enjoyable, more complete, that's all I want to do. So with that, I apologize for running this video a bit longer than normal. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Vape on, vape strong. Have a good night.